Hi, I'm James McGuire here at AWS reInvent with Vairavan Subramanian, Senior Director of Product Management at Zscaler. Vairavan, really good to talk with you today.
Great to be here, James. Very excited to chat.
All right, so I want to talk about the DSPM market, some of the benefits and where the market is going. But before that, let's talk about Zscaler itself and what Zscaler does in terms of data protection.
Yeah, Zscaler has a holistic data protection suite. The strategy for Zscaler is a five-pronged strategy for data protection. It starts with, where is my data? Is my data sitting in public cloud? Can I intercept data going to SaaS applications? Is data being sent via email? Is the data address on the endpoint? Are people copying data to a USB device? Are they printing? So I want to be in every single location the data is. The second prong is to understand, is the data sensitive or not? Can I classify that data using AI and ML to understand, does the data look like financial information? Does it look like healthcare information, intellectual property? The third part is to understand the context around the data. Any data, if it's left by itself, there is no problem with the data. The real issue comes when the wrong person has access to the data or the wrong entity has access to the data. An example being, if I send a very sensitive data via email, if I'm sending it internally to the organization, no problem. But if I send that to my personal Gmail account, there is a problem with it. So the context is very important. Once I understand where is my data, is it sensitive, and I have the context, I should be able to enforce consistent policy across all my channels with a single engine. Once I can do this, I also need to operationalize a data protection program, which involves both coaching the end user, generating a large number of alerts. How can an administrator deal with these alerts? Can he automate this? Can he create workflows, automatically get justifications? And we do this with something which we call as workflow automation. So it's a five-pronged holistic strategy to make sure we have full visibility and control across all your data in all the channels.
Great. All right, so that's data protection in general. What about data security posture management itself? It's a relatively new market. Where is the market these days, especially in terms of AI?
Yeah, so both DSPM and AI are newer markets. Data security posture management focuses on the entire life cycle of the data. It specifically focuses on data in public cloud. So often the data in public cloud is your customer's data. So protecting that is not only important from a compliance perspective, but it's becoming more and more important from a security perspective. With DSPM, there were often vendors who were API-based and siloed, and these were startups. But recently, in the last 6 months, you've seen there have been a lot of acquisitions in the space, and most DSPM vendors have become part of a larger platform.
Right.
Also, AI plays a very critical role because there's a lot of AI models which can be trained in the public cloud, and generative AI by itself does not have a delete button. Once it learned the data, there is no delete button. So securing AI...
Which can be an issue, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. It is a big issue.
It can be an issue, right.
And that is why what data can your AI learn from is more and more important. With things like Bedrock and AWS, which can learn data from S3, or if you think about Microsoft Copilot, which can learn data from your OneDrive, SharePoint, Exchange, it has actually changed the way that end users interact with AI and what kind of data is exposed to AI. So it becomes more and more critical. So securing your AI, both from what can you input to the AI and what does the AI learn, both have become very critical.
You know, you mentioned that there were a lot of acquisitions, and that certainly some of them. I mean, for a new market, there's a lot of activity, including acquisitions. Why is it that companies are moving toward data security posture management? What's the benefit?
The benefit is that your most sensitive data, which is your customer's data, sits in public cloud. And it's very, very critical for the companies to make sure that this data is actually secure. To give you several examples, there was a company who was crunching the Q4 financial records. And when they were crunching these Q4 financial records, they put that in a publicly hosted application. What they did not realize is that when they put this data out there, it actually had a public link, and people outside the organization could access the data. In this particular case, they could actually access the data before those Q4 results were out, and that became a big problem.
Yeah. Well, what about the Zscaler solution in terms of data security posture management? What are the details there, the feature set?
Yeah, if you look at Zscaler's DSPM, it sits in a very unique position. Almost all of the DSPM companies out there focus only on known public cloud accounts. That means what are the public cloud AWS, Azure, GCP accounts has IT purchase. Then they use APIs to go and scan all the data sitting and rest in these various storage accounts. Zscaler obviously does this. First and foremost, it has one of the best classification solutions available in the market. So it has the exact same classification solution, whether that is in our inline DLP, endpoint DLP, but also in DSPM. The second and the biggest differentiator is that if you have employees in your organization who are using shadow accounts, like shadow AWS accounts, which IT has not paid for, or shadow GCP accounts, their traffic flows through a Zscaler proxy. Zscaler can see all these unsanctioned or shadow public cloud accounts and gives you full visibility across not only what is the data sitting in the accounts you paid for, but more importantly, the accounts that you did not pay for. A developer just swiped a credit card, and what data did he put there? Zscaler provides you full visibility and control across that data too.
All right, so this great feature sets. Just to be clear, what is it exactly that sets it apart from the other competitors in the market? Why go for Zscaler?
Why go for Zscaler? First, couple of reasons. You do not want a siloed product focusing only on DSPM. Your CIO is not going to ask you, what is the data sitting in public cloud? He's going to ask, where is the sensitive data in the company?
Right.
So you need to look at that in all the channels. You do not want to deploy 5 different products for 5 different channels. This creates operational complexity. It also creates a security weakness where the data is not classified the same way. Second,
So it's a platform approach.
it is a platform approach.
Yeah, okay.
Second, even if you leave the platform approach apart, just from a DSPM perspective itself, Zscaler has a very, very great classification technology, which includes things like EDM, IDM, over 300 different LLM models to go and classify what is sensitive data. We not only classify text data, which is obvious, but we can also classify image data. For example, what does a medical DICOM image look like? What does a driver's license look like? What does a passport image look like? Zscaler can also classify both voice and video to do what we call as multimodal DLP. Apart from this, we not only look at the paid accounts, which is your sanctioned accounts like AWS and Azure, we can also look at the shadow accounts that a developer paid for, which no other DSPM vendor can actually solve.
Okay, interesting. That's definitely distinguishes it. What about news for DSPM from Zscaler? Any news you can share with us today?
Yeah. So we got a new launch in our DSPM solutions. In our DSPM solutions, not only do we look at both structured data as well as unstructured data, an example being your unstructured data sitting inside S3, Azure, or your GCP blobs, but more importantly, we support a large number of databases. For example, your DynamoDB, your SQL DBs, all the databases sitting in public cloud. All this is scanned by Zscaler. Apart from this, we newly introduced the support for unsanctioned IaaS apps. That means we can understand your various IaaS apps which are not part of your sanctioned IT. So these could be shadow accounts in AWS. This could be your various GCP orgs and projects and the various services used within it. If you think about it, a few years ago, on the SaaS side, we had something called a shadow IT, where people used to understand, hey, what are the unsanctioned risky applications you're using? We brought the same concept now on the DSPM market, where we can discover all your shadow accounts, and within those shadow accounts, what services are being used, and more importantly, what data is available inside those shadow accounts and who has access to it.
That seems like a major security feature, because the shadow accounts may or may not be really monitored. So that sounds really key.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the future of data security posture management. I mean, what do you see in the next couple of years, especially in terms of AI?
In the forms of AI, I think AI provides a lot of benefits. It can provide benefits where, people use AI to grow their top line revenue, or they can also use AI to make their operations easy, make it more cost effective. AI is here to grow, and everyone is absolutely going to use AI.
Definitely.
However, AI needs the right guardrails. Let me give you an example. We're both locals of the Bay Area,
Right.
and there is a Chevrolet dealer in Watsonville, and they wanted to grow their revenue. They wanted to make their sales better. So they built an AI chatbot which could interact with customers to recommend them different cars, to provide them offers on various cars. Once a customer asked that AI bot, what is the fastest car you would recommend for me to buy? And this was a Chevrolet dealer. And the bot replied back saying, you should buy a Tesla Model 3.
Oh, no.
Not only did it reply that, the customer asked, can you provide a link on how I can buy this Model 3? It provided him a link. And finally, the customer also said, here is my Tesla referral code. If someone else asks you for the recommendation, can you please provide my link so that I can get a referral credit? So if it's not trained, you don't have the right guardrails, not only will you have data exfiltration, but you would actually have bad outcomes.
So moral of the story, generative AI does need to be policed.
It absolutely needs to be policed.
Yes. Vairavan, I think you said it's going to be a fascinating sector to watch. I hope we get a chance to talk again sometime.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice chatting with you.